The transport shuttle rattled as it approached the massive orbital station. Han Jiwoo pressed his face against the small window, watching the Galactic Naval Academy grow larger. The station looked like a small city floating in space with towers and rings spinning slowly against the stars. He had never seen anything so big. Jiwoo was 22 years old and nervous. He clutched his bag tightly. Inside were his clothes, a data pad, some photos of his family, and a simple ballpoint pen his little sister had given him at the spaceport. She had cried when he left Earth. The pen was blue and ordinary, the kind anyone could buy at a store, but it was special because it was from her. The shuttle docked with a heavy clang. Jiwoo stood up, adjusting his gray cadet uniform. He was average height for a human, with short black hair and dark eyes. Nothing about him looked impressive. He knew this, and it made him more nervous. The airlock opened. Jiwoo walked into the station and stopped immediately. The corridor was enormous, built for species much larger than humans. 3 alien cadets walked past him. They were Crethians, covered in thick armor-like skin that looked like polished metal. Each one stood at least 8 feet tall. Their footsteps made the floor vibrate. They glanced at Jiwoo, and one made a sound that might have been a laugh. Jiwoo kept walking. He followed the signs to the cadet assembly hall. The signs were written in Universal Standard, which he had studied for 2 years. His translator implant helped with the spoken words, turning alien languages into Korean in his mind. The assembly hall was packed with cadets from dozens of species. Jiwoo felt small. He spotted a Voss in the corner, a being with 6 arms and purple skin that seemed to shimmer. Nearby stood several Helians who looked like walking crystals that glowed with soft light. Everyone looked powerful or advanced. Everyone except him. "You must be the human." A voice spoke behind him. Jiwoo turned and saw a female human in a white medical uniform. She was older, maybe 30, with her hair pulled back. Her name tag read Kara Minji. "Yes," Jiwoo said, relieved to hear Korean. "I'm Han Jiwoo. I'm the medical officer here," Minji said. She looked tired. "I've been stationed here for 3 years. You're the first human cadet they've accepted." "I know," Jiwoo said. "It's an honor." Minji's expression was sad. "They expect you to fail." "I should tell you that now." "Humans are weak compared to most species here. The equipment is too heavy. The training is too hard. The other cadets will leave you behind." Jiwoo felt his stomach tighten. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I don't want you to be surprised when it happens," Minji said. "I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to help you prepare." Before Jiwoo could respond, a deep voice boomed through the hall. "Cadets, attention!" Everyone stopped talking. A being made entirely of crystal floated to the center of the room. Its body was transparent and ancient-looking with cracks that glowed blue. This was Crystalline Elder Vomorix, the Dean of the Academy. "Welcome to the Galactic Naval Academy." The Dean's voice echoed in their minds, translated by their implants. "You represent the finest warriors, scholars, and leaders of the Coalition of Unified Worlds. Here you will be tested. Many of you will fail. This is expected. Only the strongest will serve the fleet." The Dean's gaze swept across the room and seemed to pause on Jiwoo. "We have a human among us this year. Humanity is new to the Coalition. Their world, Earth, is classified as a Class 12 hazardous planet. A death world. This means humans evolved in extreme danger. In theory, this makes them resilient. In practice," the Dean paused. "We shall see." Jiwoo felt hundreds of alien eyes turn toward him. His face grew hot, but he kept his expression calm. He would not look weak on his first day. The assembly ended. Cadets were divided into training groups. Jiwoo found himself assigned to Group 7, along with 42 other cadets. Most were Crethians, some were Voss, and a few were from species he didn't recognize. A massive Crethian approached him. The alien's armor skin was dark gray and a ridge of bone ran along its head. "I am Thexvar," the Crethian said in a deep voice. "I lead this group." "You are the human?" "Yes, Han Jiwoo." Thexvar looked down at him. "Humans are small. Can you even lift a plasma rifle?" "I can try," Jiwoo said. Thexvar made a rumbling sound. "We begin training tomorrow. Stay out of the way if you cannot keep up." The Crethian walked away. A softer voice spoke in Jiwoo's mind, making him jump. "Do not worry about Thexvar. He treats everyone like that at first." Jiwoo turned and saw a Voss approaching. The alien's 6 arms moved gracefully and its large eyes were kind. "I am Quilara. I am telepathic as all Voss are. I hope that does not disturb you. It's okay, Jiwoo said, though hearing voices in his head was strange. Nice to meet you. You will find the academy difficult, Quilara said gently. But I sense you are determined. That is good. Determination matters more than strength sometimes. That evening, Jiwoo sat alone in his small quarters. The room was designed for humans, one of only 3 in the entire station. He took out his pen and a paper notebook. Most people used datapads, but Jiwoo liked writing by hand. It reminded him of home. Dear Sojin, he wrote to his sister, I arrived safely. The station is bigger than a city. The other cadets are very different from me. They are stronger and have natural armor or weapons. I have nothing but my brain and my hands. I miss you and Mom and Dad. I will make you proud. I promise. He put the pen down and looked at it. Such a simple thing. On Earth, humans had survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and disasters. They had no claws or thick skin. They had tools. They had their minds. A pen was a tool. Maybe that was enough. The next morning, training began. Jiwoo struggled immediately. The plasma rifle was too heavy. The armor didn't fit properly. The obstacle course was designed for species with 4 legs or natural climbing abilities. He finished last in every exercise. Thexavar shook his head in disappointment. Other cadets whispered. Jiwoo heard the word weak several times, even through the translator, but Jiwoo didn't quit. He studied how the equipment worked. He watched how other species moved. He learned. By the end of the week, he had figured out how to modify the rifle's grip. He finished the obstacle course by finding routes the designers hadn't intended. He was still slow, still weaker than everyone else, but he was adapting. 3 weeks passed. Jiwoo was exhausted every night, but he was surviving. Minji checked on him regularly, surprised he hadn't given up. Quilara became a friend, her telepathy allowing them to communicate when Jiwoo was too tired to speak. Even Thexvar seemed slightly less dismissive. Then, on a cold morning in the station's artificial time cycle, alarms began to blare. Jiwoo was in the training hall when red lights started flashing. The automated voice spoke in Universal Standard. Alert. Unknown vessel approaching. All cadets report to shelter areas immediately. Quilara's voice filled his mind, urgent and afraid. Something is wrong. I sense danger. Real danger. Thexavar shouted orders, organizing Group 7. They ran toward the reinforced training complex in Section 7. The station shook. Through the windows, Jiwoo saw a massive ship emerging from the nearby nebula. It was dark and organic-looking, like a giant insect. What is that? Someone asked. An older instructor, a Helian, spoke with fear in its glowing voice. Krell, that is a Krell hive ship. They have not been seen in 200 years. What are Krell? Jiwoo asked. The instructor looked at him. The apex predators of the galaxy. They conquered 17 civilizations before we drove them away. If they are here, we are all in terrible danger. The blast doors slammed shut, sealing Group 7 inside Section 7. 43 cadets were now trapped together. Thexvar tried to contact command, but the communication systems were dead. Emergency power activated, casting everything in dim red light. We must defend this position, Thexvar said, his voice steady but tense. Prepare weapons. Form defensive lines. Jiwoo reached into his pocket and touched his pen. His heart was pounding. He was scared, but something else stirred inside him too. On Earth, humans had been prey once. Then they learned to hunt back. Outside, something screamed. It was a sound that made everyone freeze. It was hunger and intelligence and death all mixed together. The Krell were coming. Jiwoo woke up in the medical bay. White lights hurt his eyes. His left arm was wrapped in bandages and held in a support field that glowed softly blue. He felt like he had been hit by a transport shuttle. Finally awake, a familiar voice said. Kara Minji stood beside his bed, checking a medical display. You've been unconscious for 16 hours. How do you feel? Terrible, Jiwoo admitted. His throat was dry. What happened? What happened is that you became a legend, Minji said. She handed him water through a straw. You killed an Alpha Krell in single combat with a pen. A pen, Jiwoo. Do you understand how insane that is? Memories came flooding back. The hangar, the Alpha, the fight. Jiwoo looked down at his bandaged arm. How bad is it? The blade cut deep, but it missed the major arteries. You were lucky. The acidic hydraulic fluid caused chemical burns on your hand. But that will heal. You'll have scars. Minji paused. Physical scars, anyway. I don't know about the other kind. The other cadets? Jiwoo asked. Minji's expression became sad. 18 survived out of 43. That's including you and the other 2 humans. Everyone else who survived is wounded to some degree. But they are alive, which is more than anyone expected. Jiwoo closed his eyes. 25 dead. So many dead. He remembered faces, names, cadets he had trained with for only a few weeks but who had become friends. The Krell hive ship is gone. Minji continued. When the Alpha died, the remaining Krell returned to their ship and left. The Coalition Defense Fleet arrived 20 minutes too late to help, but they tracked the hive ship leaving the system. So it's over, Jiwoo said. The attack is over, but everything else is just beginning. Minji pulled up a chair. Jiwoo, do you know what you did? No cadet has ever survived a Krell boarding assault. None. In 200 years of encounters with the Krell, the survival rate for anyone caught in close combat with them has been 0. 0%. And you didn't just survive. You killed 12 of them. We killed them, Jiwoo corrected. All of us together. Yes, but you led them. You taught them tactics the Krell had never seen, and you killed the Alpha in a challenge duel. Minji leaned forward. The Coalition has observers everywhere. They recorded everything. There were cameras throughout the training complex. They saw what you did. They saw how humans from a Deathworld fight when cornered. Jiwoo felt a weight settle on his chest that had nothing to do with his injuries. What does that mean? It means everything changes. For humanity, for you, for Earth's place in the galaxy. The door to the medical bay opened. Crystalline Elder Vemerix floated in, his ancient crystal body glowing in the medical bay's lights. Behind him came several high-ranking officers in Coalition uniforms. Cadet Han Jiwoo. The Elder's voice resonated in Jiwoo's mind. I owe you an apology. I doubted whether humanity belonged at the Galactic Naval Academy. I doubted whether Deathworlders had a place among the civilized species of the Coalition. I was wrong. Jiwoo tried to sit up straighter, but Minji pushed him back down. Please, Elder, I just did what I had to do to survive. You did far more than that, one of the officers said. She was a high-ranking Helian, her crystalline body adorned with rank insignia. I am Admiral Cresva. I command the 7th Fleet. I have reviewed the footage from the training complex. What I saw was remarkable. You took cadets with standard Coalition training and taught them asymmetric warfare. You turned the environment into a weapon. You adapted the tactics of a Deathworld species to a space station environment. And most importantly, you succeeded where every military doctrine said you would fail. The other cadets fought just as hard, Jiwoo said. Thexavar organized the defenses. Quilara coordinated us telepathically. Yuna and Dohyun helped with the traps. Everyone contributed. Yes, they did, the Admiral agreed. And every one of them has been recognized for their bravery. But you were the catalyst. You changed how they thought about the fight. That is leadership. Another officer stepped forward, this one a Crethean with battle scars across his armor. I am General Korax. I trained Thexavar before he came to the academy. He sent me a message. He said, and I quote, "Humans fight without honor, but they fight to win. If we had more humans, the Krell would fear us. Coming from Thexavar, that is high praise. My people value honor above all else, but even we must admit that survival matters more than honor." Jiwoo didn't know what to say. These were some of the most powerful military leaders in the Coalition, and they were in his medical bay talking about how humans fight. There is another matter, the Elder said. The physical evidence from the scene. We found 12 dead Krell. Multiple examination of their bodies shows they died from various causes. Explosions, decompression, chemical burns, electrocution. But the Alpha is most interesting. It died from a single puncture wound to its neural cluster, a wound approximately 4 millimeters wide. The Elder gestured and a holographic display appeared. It showed Jiwoo's pen, battered and stained with black Krell blood sealed in an evidence container. This is the weapon you used? The Admiral asked. Yes, Jiwoo said quietly. My sister gave it to me when I left Earth. It's just a normal pen. There is nothing normal about using a writing instrument to kill the galaxy's apex predator, the General said. His voice held something like awe. This will be studied for generations. Already tactical analysts across the Coalition are reviewing your methods. You have changed how we think about combat. I don't want to change anything, Jiwoo said. I just wanted my friends to live. That is what makes you a true leader, the Elder said gently. You did not seek glory. You sought survival. But in doing so, you proved something important. Humanity deserves its place among the stars. Over the next few days, more visitors came. Thexvar arrived, his armor repaired. He clasped Jiwoo's good hand in a Krethian gesture of respect. You saved my life. You saved all of us. I have pledged a life debt to you and to humanity. Quilara came next, her 6 arms moving in agitation. I have been in telepathic contact with other Voss across the sector. They cannot believe what happened. They are calling you the Deathworld Hunter. Is that acceptable? I guess so, Jiwoo said. He wasn't sure how he felt about having a nickname. Yuna and Dohyun visited together. Yuna had a bandage on her head and Dohyun's glasses were cracked, but they were smiling. You made us look good, Yuna said. Earth's first 3 cadets at the academy, and we survived a Krell assault. The recruiters back home are going crazy. Applications to the academy have increased by 600%. That's good, Jiwoo said. We need more humans out here. The coalition agrees, Dohyun said. They're offering Earth 3 permanent academy positions every year. Before we had to compete for a single spot. Now it's guaranteed. Because of you, Jiwoo felt overwhelmed. He had just been trying to survive. He hadn't meant to change policy or inspire people. He was just a cadet who didn't want to die. On the 5th day, Minji cleared him to leave the medical bay. His arm was still healing, but the support field allowed him to move. She walked with him to the observation deck where he could see the stars. Earth is that way, she said, pointing to a small blue dot in the distance. You'll go home a hero. I don't want to be a hero, Jiwoo said. I want to finish my training. They're offering you a field commission, Minji said. Skip the rest of cadet training. Become a lieutenant immediately. They want you teaching your tactics to active duty officers. Jiwoo thought about it. He thought about the 25 cadets who died. He thought about his sister and her pen. He thought about what it meant to be human in a galaxy full of stronger, faster, more powerful species. No, he said finally. I want to finish the academy properly. I want to learn everything I can. Because the Krell will be back. That wasn't an invasion. That was a scouting mission. They were testing us. And now they know we're here. Minji looked at him with new respect. You're right. Intelligence agrees with you. The Krell have been gone for 200 years. Now they're probing coalition space again. We need to be ready. Then I need to be ready, Jiwoo said. Not as a hero. As a soldier. A real one. That evening, Jiwoo sat in his quarters with his pen. The medical staff had cleaned it and returned it to him. It was scratched and dented, but it still worked. He pulled out paper and began to write. Dear Sojin, I'm sorry I haven't written in a week. Things got complicated. I'm okay, though my arm is hurt. It will heal. The pen you gave me saved my life. It saved everyone's lives. I can't explain how right now, but I will when I come home. I'm staying at the academy. I have so much more to learn, but I want you to know something. You asked me before I left why I wanted to go to the stars. I told you it was to explore, to see new things. That was true, but there's more. Humans are newcomers in the galaxy. Everyone thinks we're weak. I wanted to prove we belong here. I think I did that. Not because I'm special, but because I'm human. We're survivors. We adapt, we overcome. That's what we do best. Thank you for the pen. I'm keeping it forever. Love your brother Jiwoo. He put the pen down and looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Krell were watching. They had learned that humans were dangerous. Good. Let them learn. Let the whole galaxy learn. Earth had joined the coalition, and Deathworlders had come to the stars. A soft chime indicated someone at his door. Come in, Jiwoo said. Jiwoo touched his pen in his pocket. On Earth, when 2 apex predators met, only one the Alpha's approach was different. The regular Krell had charged through the complex with raw aggression. The Alpha moved slowly, deliberately. Jiwoo could track its progress by the clicking sounds that echoed through the corridors. It was studying them, learning from the deaths of its pack. We need to split up, Jiwoo said. If we stay together, the Alpha can trap us all. Thexvar shook his head. Splitting up is how prey gets killed. We're not prey anymore, Jiwoo said. We're hunters. Hunters work in small packs, cover more ground, strike from multiple angles. Dohyun pulled up the station map on his datapad. He's right. Look, we're in Section 7. It's a training maze with dozens of rooms and corridors. If we split into teams, we can control the environment, set multiple traps. The Krell won't know where to expect us. Yuna pointed at the map. There's a maintenance hangar in Section 8. It has equipment we can use. And it has external doors. If we need to decompress a section, that's the place to do it. Thexvar looked at the 24 surviving cadets. Half were wounded, all were exhausted. But in their eyes, Jiwoo saw something new. Not hope exactly, but determination. They had killed 4 Krell. They could kill more. Form teams of 3, Thexvar ordered. Each team takes a different route through the complex. Set traps. Create ambush points. If you encounter a Krell, do not engage directly. Use the tactics the humans taught us. Lure them, trap them, kill them. The cadets divided into 8 teams. Jiwoo found himself grouped with Quilara and a Krathian named Vextar, a cousin of the first cadet who had died. Vextar had barely spoken since his cousin's death. Now he looked at Jiwoo with something like respect. "You were right," Vextar said in his deep voice, "about not fighting fair. My cousin died because we tried to fight with honor. There is no honor in death. Only survival matters." Their team moved through the corridors heading toward the maintenance hangar. Quilara's telepathy allowed them to communicate silently, which was a huge advantage. She could sense the Krell's positions and warn them before they got close. They entered a room full of zero-gravity training equipment. Jiwoo had an idea. "Yuna taught me how to rig explosive charges. We can turn this whole room into a trap." They spent 10 minutes setting it up. Power cells placed in key structural points. The gravity controls rigged to fail. The environmental seals weakened. When they were done, the room was a death trap waiting for a victim. "How do we lure one in?" Vexter asked. "We make noise," Jiwoo said. He picked up a metal bar and banged it against the wall. The sound echoed through the complex. It was loud and rhythmic. "An obvious challenge. You are insane," Quilara's mental voice said. But there was admiration in it. They waited. Minutes passed. Then Jiwoo heard it, clicking sounds approaching fast. Not the Alpha, one of the regular Krell. It burst through the doorway, moving like a nightmare made of blades and armor. Jiwoo ran. The Krell followed. He led it in a circle around the room, past the explosive charges. Vextar hit the detonator. The charges blew simultaneously. The room's structure collapsed, the gravity failed, and the environmental seals burst. The Krell was caught in the center of it all. Atmosphere vented through the breached walls. The Krell, suddenly in zero gravity and vacuum, thrashed helplessly. Its armor protected it from the vacuum, but it couldn't move properly without gravity. Jiwoo, Vextar, and Kalara had already sealed themselves in an airlock. They watched through the window as the Krell drifted, clicking frantically. "It is suffocating," Quilara said. "Even in vacuum, they need atmosphere for their breathing system." They waited until the Krell stopped moving. 5 down, 7 to go, plus the Alpha. They heard other explosions through the complex. Other teams were having success. Through the communicators, reports came in. Team 3 killed a Krell by luring it into the station's water recycling system and electrocuting it. Team 5 trapped one in a chemical storage room and created an acid bath. Team 7 used the station's maintenance robots as weapons, programming them to attack. But the cost continued. Team 2 lost a member when their trap failed. Team 6 was ambushed, losing 2 cadets before they could escape. 19 cadets remained. Jiwoo's team reached the maintenance hangar. It was a huge space filled with repair equipment, spare parts, and maintenance vehicles. More importantly, it had emergency pressure doors that could seal it off completely. "This is perfect," Jiwoo said. "We can make this our final defensive position." They began setting up. Yuna's explosives training came in handy. Doyun coordinated the teams through communicators, directing everyone toward the hangar. Thexvar arrived with his team, bringing 3 wounded cadets. One by one, the surviving teams made it to the hangar. 18 cadets gathered there. 18 out of 43. More than half their number was gone. "We have killed 6 Krell," Thexvar reported. 6 remain plus the Alpha. "We have done what no cadets have ever done. We have survived a Krell assault." "We haven't survived yet," Jiwoo said. "The Alpha is still hunting, and it's learning from every trap we set." As if summoned by his words, the clicking sound returned. But this time it was right outside the hangar. The Alpha had found them. The massive door began to dent inward. The Alpha wasn't trying to sneak in. It was simply tearing through the door. Metal screeched and buckled. A blade arm punched through, then another. The door was ripped apart like paper. The Alpha entered the hangar. Jiwoo's breath caught. This Krell was at least 14 feet tall, bigger than any they had seen. Its armor was scarred from old battles. Some scars so deep they must have been from weapons far more powerful than anything the cadets had. This creature was old, experienced, deadly. The Alpha stopped in the doorway. It didn't charge. It looked at them, its multiple eyes scanning the cadets. Then it focused on Jiwoo. The clicking sound it made was different, almost like speech. "It is communicating," Quilara whispered. "It knows we are intelligent. It knows you led the defense. It is challenging you." "Challenging me," Jiwoo said. "In Krell culture, the strongest leads the pack. It has watched you. It knows you made the others fight differently. It sees you as the alpha of this group. It wants to determine which alpha is superior." Thexvar raised his weapon. "We attack together." "No," Jiwoo said. He stepped forward, his pen in his hand. "This is between me and it." "You cannot fight that creature alone," Vextar said. "I'm not fighting it," Jiwoo said. "I'm hunting it." The Alpha tilted its head, watching. Then it clicked again, and the 5 remaining Krell entered the hangar. But they didn't attack. They formed a circle around the Alpha and Jiwoo. This was a challenge, an honor duel between predators. Jiwoo's mind was racing. He couldn't overpower this creature. He couldn't outrun it in this enclosed space. He had to outsmart it. He looked around the hangar, cataloging everything he could use as a weapon or tool. The Alpha moved first, not a charge, but a test. It swept one blade arm at Jiwoo. He dove under it, rolling across the floor. The blade cut through a workbench where he had been standing, slicing the metal like butter. Jiwoo came up running, heading toward a stack of maintenance equipment. The Alpha pursued, surprisingly fast for its size. Jiwoo grabbed a canister of compressed gas and threw it at the Alpha's head. The creature batted it away contemptuously. The canister exploded, filling the area with freezing gas. The Alpha slowed slightly. The cold affected its hydraulic system, but it was only a temporary advantage. Jiwoo used the moment to put distance between them. He was breathing hard. His human endurance was good, but this was exhausting. The Alpha seemed tireless, but Jiwoo noticed something. The old scars on the creature's armor were concentrated on its left side. An old injury, maybe a weak point. He feinted right, then rolled left. The Alpha tracked him, but its left side was slightly slower to respond. Yes, an old injury it had never fully recovered from. Jiwoo ran toward a maintenance vehicle, a small lifter used to move heavy equipment. The Alpha pursued. At the last second, Jiwoo activated the lifter's emergency power burst. The vehicle shot forward, ramming into the Alpha's left side. The creature staggered, clicking in what might have been surprise or pain. Jiwoo pressed his advantage. He had studied the dead Krell earlier. He knew where the joints were, where the hydraulic systems were vulnerable. The Alpha recovered and lunged, both blade arms coming down. Jiwoo couldn't dodge in time. He raised his left arm to protect his head. The blade cut through his uniform and into his arm. Pain exploded through him. Blood sprayed, but Jiwoo had expected this. He had known he would get hurt. On Earth, human ancestors had hunted by getting close to dangerous prey, accepting wounds to deliver killing blows. Persistence hunting, exhaustion tactics, trading injury for opportunity. As the Alpha's blade cut his arm, Jiwoo stepped inside its reach. He drove his pen into the joint where the blade arm connected to the Alpha's body. The pen was small, thin, perfect for slipping between armor plates. The point punched through the softer joint material. Hydraulic fluid sprayed out under pressure, acidic and hot. It burned Jiwoo's hand, but he twisted the pen deeper, creating a bigger puncture. The Alpha screamed. Its left blade arm went limp, the hydraulic pressure lost. The massive creature stumbled backward. Jiwoo's vision was blurring from pain and blood loss, but he saw his opening. The Alpha was The emergency lights cast red shadows across the training complex. Jiwoo stood with the other cadets, watching Thexvar organize them into defensive positions. The Krathian's voice was calm but firm as he assigned roles. The stronger cadets received the heavy plasma rifles. The Voss took positions where their multiple arms could operate defensive turrets. The crystalline Helians used their natural ability to interface with the station's computer systems. Jiwoo was given a small pistol. It felt heavy in his hand. He had only fired it 3 times during training, and his accuracy was poor. "Stay in the back," Thexvar told him. "If the Krell break through our lines, run." Jiwoo wanted to argue, but he knew the Krathian was right. He was the weakest one here. He moved to the rear of their defensive formation, near the door that led deeper into the training complex. Quilara stood beside him, her 6 arms trembling. "I am not a warrior," she said, her telepathic voice shaking. "My people are scholars and diplomats. I have never fought anyone." "Me neither," Jiwoo admitted. "I've been in one fistfight my whole life. I lost." Despite their fear, Quilara managed something like a mental laugh. "We are the wrong people to be trapped here." The station shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Through the walls they heard explosions. The Krell ship was attacking the station directly. Jiwoo wondered where the defense fleet was. Surely the Academy had called for help. A Halian cadet named Prism was connected to a wall terminal. Its crystalline body flickered as it accessed information. "The defense fleet is 14 minutes away," Prism announced. "The senior officers are evacuating to the command ship. We are ordered to shelter in place until rescue arrives." 14 minutes, Thexvar repeated. "We can hold for 14 minutes. A massive crash echoed from somewhere above them. Metal screeched. Something was tearing through the station's hull. Jiwoo felt his hands start to shake. He forced himself to breathe slowly, the way his father had taught him before his first school exam. Fear was normal. Panic was the enemy. The lights flickered. For a moment, everything went dark. Then the emergency backup activated, dimmer than before. In the new darkness, Jiwoo heard something that made his blood cold. Clicking sounds, rhythmic and fast, like giant claws on metal. "They are in the ventilation system," Quilara whispered in his mind. "I sense them. Multiple minds, but not like any minds I have felt before. They are hungry and intelligent, and they think we are prey." "How many?" Thexvar demanded. Quilara's mental voice was weak with fear. 12, no more. I cannot count them all." A vent cover exploded from the ceiling. Something massive and dark dropped into the room. Jiwoo saw it for only a second before it moved, but that second burned into his memory. The Krell was 12 feet tall, with a body like a giant insect covered in black chitinous armor. It had 4 legs and 2 arms that ended in blades instead of hands. Its head was triangular with too many eyes and mandibles that opened to show rows of teeth. "Fire!" Thexvar roared. Plasma bolts lit up the room. The Krell moved so fast it seemed to blur. Most shots missed. The ones that hit bounced off its armor, leaving only scorch marks. The creature lunged at the nearest cadet, a Krethian named Vex. The Krell's blade arm came down. Vex raised his rifle to block, but the blade cut through the metal like paper. It cut through Vex, too. The Krethian fell in 2 pieces. He didn't even have time to scream. Everyone started shouting. More vent covers burst open. 3 more Krell dropped into the room. They moved like living nightmares, impossibly fast and completely silent, except for that clicking sound. "Retreat," Thexvar commanded. "Fall back to the inner corridors." The cadets ran. Jiwoo ran with them, his heart hammering. Behind him he heard plasma fire and screaming, and that terrible clicking. Someone grabbed his arm. It was Quilara, pulling him along with 2 of her arms while using the others to help a wounded Helion cadet. They poured through the doorway into a long corridor. Thexvar was the last one through. He slammed the emergency seal, and a heavy door crashed down. Immediately, something hit the door from the other side. The metal bent inward. "Keep moving," Thexvar shouted. Jiwoo's mind was racing as fast as his feet. He counted heads as they ran. They had started with 43 cadets. Now he counted only 36. 7 dead in less than a minute. The Krell had killed 7 trained cadets in less than a minute. They reached an intersection and Thexvar made them stop to regroup. Everyone was breathing hard. Some cadets were wounded. A Voss named Shira was missing 2 of her 6 arms. A Krathian's armor was cracked, blue blood leaking out. "We need a better position," Thexvar said. "Prism, can you access the station map?" The Helian cadet tried to interface with a wall panel, but sparks flew. "The systems are damaged. I can get partial data only." A new voice spoke from Jiwoo's communicator. It was Kara Minji. "Jiwoo, can you hear me?" "Yes," Jiwoo said. "We're trapped in Section 7. The Krell are hunting us." "I know." Minji's voice was tight with stress. "I'm in the medical bay in Section 4. I've been monitoring what I can. Listen to me carefully. The Krell are not just predators. They are intelligent hunters. They have been studying our species for centuries. They know how we fight. How do we stop them? Jiwoo asked. I don't know, Minji said. In every recorded encounter, the Krell have won. No one has ever survived a boarding action by Krell infiltrators. No one. The corridor behind them exploded. The Krell had torn through the sealed door. They poured into the corridor like a wave of blades and armor. The cadets opened fire, but it was useless. The plasma bolts couldn't pierce the Krell's natural armor. Run! Thexvar roared again. They ran deeper into the training complex. The corridors were a maze, designed to simulate ship interiors for training exercises. Normally, that made them interesting. Now, it made them deadly. Every corner could hide a Krell. Every vent could release another hunter. They lost 2 more cadets when a Krell burst through a wall. The creature didn't use doors. It made its own paths, cutting through the station's structure like it was cardboard. A Helion and a species Jiwoo didn't recognize were caught by surprise. They died before anyone could help. 34 now. Jiwoo's mind kept counting. 34 left. They barricaded themselves in a training room filled with equipment. It was a temporary refuge at best. Everyone knew it. Thexvar posted guards at both doors while other cadets tried to tend to the wounded. Jiwoo sat against a wall trying to control his breathing. His hands were still shaking. He looked down and saw he was still holding the pistol. He hadn't fired it once. He had just run. Hey. A voice spoke in Korean. Jiwoo looked up and saw 2 other humans. He hadn't noticed them before in the chaos. A young woman with short hair and grease on her uniform approached him. I'm Cha Yuna, engineering track, 2nd year. Behind her came a thin man with glasses. Park Do-hyun, tactical analysis. I started 4 months ago. Han Jiwoo, he said. 1st year, obviously. Yuna sat down beside him. That was bad, really bad. How are we supposed to fight those things? Do-hyun asked. His hands were shaking too. Our weapons don't work. They're too fast, too strong. They can go through walls. Jiwoo thought about what Minji had said. The Krell had studied coalition species for centuries. They knew how everyone fought. But there was one species they hadn't studied much. Humans had only joined the coalition 5 years ago. Earth had only been discovered 8 years ago. They don't know us, Jiwoo said slowly. What? Yuna looked at him. The Krell. They know how Krethians fight. They know Voss tactics. They know everything about coalition species. But humans are new. They don't know what we'll do. Do-hyun pushed his glasses up. That's great, except we don't know how to fight them either. And we're weaker than everyone else here. Jiwoo looked around the room. He saw plasma rifles that couldn't pierce Krell armor. He saw cadets trained in standard coalition military doctrine. Everything by the book. Everything the Krell expected. On Earth, humans had survived as the physically weakest apex predator. They didn't have claws or venom or thick skin. They had something else. They had the ability to think differently, to adapt, to use anything as a tool. Jiwoo took out his pen and looked at it. Such a simple thing. But on Earth, simple things had killed mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and every other predator that thought humans were prey. A crashing sound came from above. The Krell were in the ceiling crawl spaces now. They were coming from every direction. Thexvar ordered everyone to the center of the room, forming a tight circle. 12 minutes until the fleet arrives, Prism announced, its voice flickering, if we are still alive. Quilara's telepathic voice touched Jiwoo's mind. I am scared. Me too, Jiwoo thought back. But I'm also angry. Angry? Jiwoo looked at the sealed doors, at the ceiling where the Krell were moving. On my planet, everything tried to kill us. The weather, the animals, the diseases. We were prey for thousands of years. Then we decided we weren't prey anymore. We decided to hunt back. You are one small human with a pistol that does not work. Jiwoo smiled, though it felt strange to smile while this scared. I'm a human from a Deathworld, and I have something better than a pistol. He held up his pen. Quilara didn't understand. Neither did Yuna or Do-hyun. but Jiwoo was starting to. The Krell thought they were hunting prey. They were about to learn that humans stopped being prey a long time ago. The ceiling collapsed. A Krell dropped into the center of their defensive circle. For a frozen moment, nobody moved. Then chaos erupted. Thexvar fired his rifle point blank at the creature's head. The plasma bolt hit its eye cluster, and for the first time a Krell screamed. It was a sound like tearing metal. The creature thrashed, its blade arms swinging wildly. One arm caught a Helian cadet, cutting clean through its crystalline body. The Helian shattered like glass. More cadets fired. The Krell's head armor was cracked where Thexvar had hit it, and more shots found the weak point. The creature finally collapsed, its legs folding under it. Black fluid leaked from its wounds. "We killed one," someone said in disbelief. "And lost another," Thexvar said grimly, looking at the shattered Helian. "This is not sustainable. We are trading one for one, and they have more than we do." Jiwoo moved closer to the dead Krell, studying it despite his fear. The creature was even more horrifying up close. Its armor was thick and layered like overlapping plates. But where the joints bent, at the connections between body segments, he could see something different. A softer material, almost like thick rubber with fluid moving beneath it. "Jiwoo, get back," Yuna warned. "It might not be dead." "It's dead," Jiwoo said. He knelt beside the blade arm, looking at where it connected to the shoulder. The joint was covered in that softer material. He pressed it with his finger and fluid squirted out. The entire arm went limp. "The joints," he said. "Look at the joints." Do-hyun came over, adjusting his glasses. "It's like hydraulics. The fluid creates pressure, which lets them move. If you puncture the fluid system, the limb fails. Can our weapons puncture it?" Jiwoo asked. "The plasma rifles can't," Thexvar said. "We have been firing at them since this began." "The armor is too strong." Jiwoo looked at the joint again. The soft material was recessed between the armor plates. A wide plasma bolt couldn't reach it, but something narrow could. Something like a knife or a pen. More crashing sounds echoed through the complex. The Krell were getting closer. Thexvar made everyone move again, heading deeper into the maze of corridors. They were running out of places to run. As they moved, Jiwoo fell back to walk with Yuna and Do-hyun. "How much equipment is stored in this complex?" He asked Yuna. "Tons," she said. "This is a training facility. There are spare parts, chemicals, tools, everything. Why?" "Because we need to change how we fight," Jiwoo said. "The plasma rifles don't work. Standard tactics don't work. We need to use the environment." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "Asymmetric warfare. My tactical courses covered this. When you're weaker than your enemy, you don't fight their fight. You make them fight yours." "Exactly," Jiwoo said. "The Krell are stronger and faster. But this is a space station. It's full of things that can kill them if we're smart." Quillara's voice entered their minds. "What are you planning?" "To stop being prey," Jiwoo said. "To start hunting them." They reached a storage room, and Thexvar ordered everyone inside. 29 cadets remained now. 5 more had been killed in running battles over the past 30 minutes. Everyone was exhausted. Several were wounded. They couldn't keep running. "We make our stand here," Thexvar announced. "This room has only one entrance. We can defend it." "No," Jiwoo said. Everyone turned to look at him. He felt his face grow hot, but he continued. "If we trap ourselves in one room, the Krell will tear through the walls. They always do. We need to be mobile. We need to attack them." "Attack them?" a Krethian cadet said incredulously. "You saw what they did to Vex. We cannot fight these creatures." "Not in a fair fight," Jiwoo agreed. "But Earth had a saying, all's fair in love and war. We don't fight fair. We cheat," Thexvar studied him. "Explain." Jiwoo pointed at the storage room's shelves. "This room has chemicals. Cleaning supplies? Maintenance fluids. Some of those are corrosive. Some are flammable. We can make weapons." Yuna's eyes lit up. "We can rig traps. Explosive charges using power cells. Acid sprays from the cleaning tanks. And we can use the station against them," Do-hyun added. "Decompress sections. Disable gravity. Seal them in rooms and vent the atmosphere." Quillara spread her 6 arms. "But we are not warriors. We are cadets. How can we fight the galaxy's apex predators?" Jiwoo looked at her. "I'm from a Deathworld. On Earth, humans were prey. We had no claws, no armor, no venom. We survived by using our brains, by making tools, by refusing to give up." He held up his pen. "This pen killed mammoths on my planet. Not directly, but it represents what we are. Tool users. Problem solvers. That's what humans do best." He is right, Thexvar said slowly. The Krethian looked surprised by his own words. My people value strength and honor, but honor means nothing if we are dead. If the humans' plan gives us a chance to survive, we should try it. They spent the next 10 minutes preparing. Yuna showed them how to create improvised explosive charges using power cells and metal fragments. Doyun accessed a working terminal and pulled up the station's layout, planning ambush points. Jiwoo worked with the cleaning supplies, mixing chemicals that would react violently when combined. Karaminji's voice came through the communicator again. Jiwoo, I've been analyzing the medical database. I found something about Krell physiology. Their exoskeleton is almost impenetrable, but the joints contain a hydraulic fluid. If you can puncture the fluid sacs, their limbs will fail. I know, Jiwoo said. I figured it out by looking at the dead one. Good, Minji said. There's more. The fluid is under pressure. If you puncture it, it sprays out violently. The spray is acidic. Don't let it hit you. Got it, Jiwoo said. He looked at his pen. It was thin enough to slip between the armor plates. He just had to get close enough to use it. They set their first trap in a corridor junction. Yuna rigged an explosive charge in the ceiling. Dohyun identified that the corridor had manual override controls for the gravity. Jiwoo spread his chemical mixture on the floor where it would ignite if the explosive detonated. Now we need bait, Thexvar said. I'll do it, Jiwoo said. No, Thexvar said firmly. You are too valuable now. You understand these creatures better than we do. I'm also the fastest runner, Jiwoo pointed out. I've been finishing last in training because I'm slower than all of you. But I'm faster than humans on Earth. Maybe faster than Krell expect. Before Thexvar could argue, Jiwoo stepped into the corridor. His heart was pounding. He could hear the clicking sounds getting closer. The Krell were hunting through the complex, moving methodically. Jiwoo whistled loudly. On Earth, that was how hunters called to each other. He hoped it would attract the Krell's attention. It worked. A clicking sound answered him much closer than before. Then he saw it, a massive Krell rounding a corner 50 meters away. The creature saw him. Its mandibles opened. It started running, its forelegs moving with terrible speed. Jiwoo ran. He was scared, but he was also focused. He counted his steps, just like his father taught him when they ran together. He had to time this perfectly. The Krell was faster, closing the distance. He could hear it breathing, a wet rasping sound. 30 meters to the junction. 20 meters. The Krell was right behind him. 10 meters. He could feel the vibrations of its steps through the floor. He dove through the junction. Doyun hit the detonator. The explosive charge blew. The ceiling collapsed on top of the Krell. At the same moment, Dohyun killed the gravity. The Krell, suddenly weightless, tumbled through the falling debris. Jiwoo's chemical mixture ignited, filling the corridor with fire. The Krell screamed, thrashing in zero gravity while on fire. It crashed into walls, unable to get its bearings. Thexvar and 2 other Krethians emerged from cover with metal spears they had improvised from maintenance tools. They stabbed at the Krell's joints while it was disoriented. Black fluid sprayed everywhere. The Krell stopped moving. It floated in the corridor, dead. Everyone was breathing hard. Yuna helped Jiwoo to his feet. That was insane, she said. That was one, Jiwoo said. There are at least 10 more, but something had changed. The cadets had killed a Krell using tactics, not firepower. They had used the environment. They had hunted it. Over the next hour, they killed 3 more. Each ambush was different. In one, they lured a Krell into a maintenance shaft and used the magnetic couplings to crush it. In another, they vented an entire section to space while the Krell was inside. The third died when they flooded a corridor with coolant fluid from the station's systems, freezing it until it couldn't move, then shattering its joints with metal bars. The cost was high. They lost 5 more cadets in these engagements. 24 remained. But they had killed 4 Krell using human tactics, using Deathworld instincts. During a brief rest, Quillara's telepathic voice was filled with wonder and horror. I sense confusion from the remaining Krell. They do not understand what is happening. They expect prey to run. We are attacking. It confuses them. Good, Jiwoo said. He was exhausted, his uniform torn and stained. But he felt different than he had that morning. He felt like a predator. A new clicking sound echoed through the complex. It was different from the others. Deeper, more controlled. Quillara gasped, her 6 arms trembling. What is it? Thexvar asked. The Alpha, Quillara whispered. The pack leader. It is coming for us. No, not for us. Her large eyes fixed on Jiwoo. It is coming for you specifically. It knows you are the one who changed how we fight. It sees you as the threat,